Hello, guys. Good evening, and welcome to Industry House live at VBO Lounge. Like we said, we bring you nothing but industry. We bring you we're Africans and Africans in diaspora. We bring you the culture, the music, the lifestyle. We bring the industry. Because we are in Industry House. You know what? It doesn't need no introduction. As you all know, we go full house tonight, like we always do. We go full house tonight again. And it doesn't need no introduction, like I said, the one and only DJ Abass. It's in the building.
Peace to the world. Peace to the world.
I don't want to go because, the face, the name, we can't really say, We got Victor, CEO. The boss himself. It's in the building. VBO Lounge. Taffy. Industry. Queen J. Our in-house Queen J. Abass.
Yes, sir.
Industry House. Nice to have you in the building.
First and foremost, congratulations on this.
Whoa, congratulations to all of us.
Congratulations. And
to all of us. Yeah.
Maybe you don't remember, April 3rd, just gone, was the 20th anniversary of intro on Ben TV.
Yes, that's true. That's true. 20 years. 20 years, yeah.
So I've known this guy for over 20 years.
Over 20. Well, even before Ben TV.
And you are still in the game. Industry.
Thank you.
You need to give it up to them.
Yes. But Abass, I'm even before that. I've known you since early 90s. At the Andes.
But you're older than me. Femi, you're older than me.
Sure? Are you sure?
Yes,
Abass? No. I'm talking. Remember, obviously, Abass, you come a long way. Pioneer industry. You've been in the game. All the way. Like you said, we've been in this for a very long time. Can you please explain to our viewers? What inspired you to get into media?
Okay, it's when I tell this story, it's something I didn't get into it by chance, because at times some people get into certain industries by chance. But back just to keep it very nice and quick, back home in Nigeria, I studied political science. Midway into my degree, we had the normal protests in Nigeria, and then we're all sent home. And then I decided to visit the Guardian. And I just walked in and I just said, you know what, we're all home, we're doing nothing, I need to do something. And they said, okay, introduced me to the Guardian Express desk. For those who know Guardian Express back in the 80s, that was the most famous newspaper, evening newspaper for entertainment and sports. And that was my official intro. And at the time, I started writing politics, sports, and entertainment.
It was called Intro then?
No. It was
called
Intro
to the media.
Into the media thing.
Because I remember your program Intro.
Yes,
so probably
no.
you've been keeping that name since the Guardian. Then you brought it over,
No,
you said 80s.
Yeah.
So you're older than me.
Right? I started young. Nice one. You see, you got me there. But I started young.
Yeah.
And of course, I finished in Nigeria at the time, and then came over to the UK. But by the time I came,
this was after your school set.
Yeah, 1991, after university. And by the time I came, I had already had my stint at the Guardian. I knew a lot of key people in the entertainment industry. And though I was DJing back then, it was just as a student. Coming to the UK, I became a professional DJ. And this, I'm talking about 91, 92, back in the days of house parties.
Yeah,
there were no more parties in the UK then.
Yeah, it was
and there
house
were
party
a handful of
days,
DJs. And gradually, as we went on, we started doing the venues, from the West End to all the other places. At the time, there were very, very few Nigerian-owned venues. Very, very few. And the few that
was there anyone?
Oh yeah, no.
Was there anyone?
No. Well,
at that time,
if we call it venues, because there were promoters that were doing shows in the West End, but our venues were typically restaurants that had late licenses where we could do. So we had the likes of Andy's Wine Bar on West Green Road. We had Moonwalk. We had Buka.
Buka.
This was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, in the early millennium now.
Okay.
So I'm talking 2000, 2001, 2002.
Okay.
And then we just go. In fact, in those days when we wanted to do shows, we go into the West End. On off nights like a Wednesday, you want to book a venue. And back then, venues they will give to some maybe Asian promoters for free. They tell us to pay £1,500 deposits. That was the trend then.
Because we're
You
black.
know, moonlighting was very nice to us because they accommodated us very, but they were few and far between. And if you fast forward to today, right now, we're in a frontline Nigerian or African, let me just use
Afrobeats.
African-owned venue. So we've come a long way. And you see that most of the activities we do today now are in African-owned establishments. And that is one of the major differences. And then in that period now, what we now know as Afrobeats has blown over the world. So if you look at the whole ecosystem, what has changed now is more of ownership. Because that's what we didn't used to have a lot of. We don't have enough still, but we are far away from where we were then, and it can only get better, you know. So from obviously 2003, my good friend Ayashona called me and said, Abass, we now have a TV station, no? And then I went to Ben TV. I had spoken to Alistair, and for those who are watching who don't understand what this meant, today right now we get our news via social media. We know what's happening, but back then there was no YouTube.
Nothing.
There was nothing. So you need to understand
There's
the
no
impact,
social media.
the impact of having African TV on Sky.
The first African channel in diaspora.
On Sky, you know,
in
I can't
diaspora.
even overemphasize the power. Whatever I am today, a larger percentage of that, because now I was not just a DJ by name now, so I was a DJ with a face right now. And selling not just to Nigerians. In our chat, I was telling you that my Zim family, my Ghana family, my Zambian family, and TV was able to do that. And fast forward now to where we are today as a people. It's and I look at that, I'm happy. I just feel happy for myself. I say, okay, I'm happy I'm part of this. I was part of this journey, you know, and good to see you here as well.
And me too. And
And the likes of Victor, Taffy, you guys came in and took it to another level, because ownership is key in this thing. We complain about so many things. I'm a supporter of anything African. December is coming. I tell everybody, go and find that African shop. Go on, because the thing we spend outside of our mortgage, the thing we spend the most money on is what we eat. So we need to keep supporting the business any which way, no matter how, because now we have children who might need work from us.
Honestly, you're right.
You know? So
you said 20 years now.
So
obviously, someone born 20 years ago now.
Don't they bump again?
Exactly.
That's the way they born 20 years ago. Don't they bump again? So it's a cycle of life. It keeps going, and then you look at one of the biggest problems in our community as a people right now. You look at the black pound. The black pound only stays within the community for 5 hours, but the Asian pound stays for 6 hours. The Jewish pound stays for 6 hours. How does that happen? It only happens through ownership. You go to African businesses. I don't see Asians there. I don't see Jews there.
Sorry, to cut in there, talking about ownership. Every time I pick up a call to book a warehouse, like a venue, anywhere in London, the person at the other line is an Asian.
Yeah.
If you want to do a warehouse show, warehouse event, you pick up the phone. I'm like,
they've dominated the industry.
No,
what is that?
But what you look at?
What is
The
that?
system,
I'm telling you,
in the UK.
every venue you call is Asian.
If we're being analytical, Femi, if we're being analytical, the UK, which is our residence now, actually, our colonial masters are they started with the UK. And India got independence in 1947.
Oh, I see.
Nigeria got independence in 1960.
Yeah.
There's a 13-year gap.
So
There's a solid
is that
13.
the point?
Is that why they go?
It's part
Is
of
that
it.
why they got their prime minister from Asia?
No,
because they got here before.
No, but then, but
Abi?
but you
be African.
But it's part of it though, because if you look at if we break Africa down, you look at Nigerians, you look at Ghanaians, and you look at the civil service, you will see that where we were not 20 years ago, we're there now. It's a progression, and that progression has delivered.
And that's where I'm coming from. 20 years ago,
that progression has delivered a prime minister for them. It has delivered a mayor of London for them. He has delivered a new Scottish prime minister for them. So but if you look at the African network,
but we have also got our own space.
no, we're getting we are getting there. Trust me.
Gradually.
So and it's not just, and right now we talk about this Afrobeats thing. My greatest concern as a father to 2 diaspora-born children was how was I going to Africanize them? Because I always thought that I would have to take them back home. But right now, the biggest identity index in the African community is Afrobeats.
Yeah.
And that thing has fed into fashion, it has fed into food, it has fed into the club life, it has fed into them being comfortable. Because 20 years ago,
proud
when
that
you
they are black.
20, 30 years ago, most Africans, when you see them, they'd rather be called Jamaican.
Yeah,
Because that was the prominent, and Jamaicans came in 57, 3-4 years before us. See the progression, So, but today
there
now,
were more West Indians than Africans back in the days.
oh yes, definitely.
I know,
But that has changed. So this thing is dynamic and it's cyclic and it continues going. So I think we're in a fantastic place. And the good thing is, all of us sitting here are part of that narrative that is pushing the African agenda to where it is today. We must realize that in entertainment, in everything. She just told me now she's doing her PhD
I was
in.
going to ask you some questions. Yeah, it was 2 questions from different angles.
Yeah.
And one was for the one when you were in the media space, trying to get into the. Was it like because you were still?
I still am in it.
No, in Nigeria back
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Was it? Were you like trying to do an internship? It was just you having nothing to do, and there was a strike, and then you had to do something.
It's like second
And then you got a
opportunity.
job while you were
Opportunity met. Opportunity met.
Readiness met opportunity.
Yeah, opportunity, because first we were closed down, and I didn't want to sit at home.
Yeah, so while you went back to school, you were still
Is
working
it
in the
them
media.
strikes?
Like,
Is it the strike?
yeah, the strike
University
pushed him
strike.
to.
Let me give you a little story. My monthly stipend then was 150 naira. Then that 150 naira then was like 150 pounds. Then that was what I got every month from my parents. I now got to the Guardian, and they employed me as a freelance journalist. So they will pay you by the amount of stories you put. I was not a permanent staff. They pay you by the amount of stories you put in the magazine. So if you understand how newspapers work, if you pick a newspaper up, you know, it's in columns. Each line was 10 kobo. So once you write your story, they will count the amount of lines.
Yeah.
And that was your pay for that story. At the end of the month, they collate all your stories.
Your cumulative
But on
becomes-
top of that, I was doing crossword puzzles and word search. So I would submit 5 a week. Each one I was being paid £7.50, 7 naira 50 kobo. So at the end of the month, I was earning close to 360 naira.
And then you were still a student then?
No, I was a don.
Oh, you had finished.
360 naira plus 150. I was a don in college. I had my own room. I had my own room.
Abass,
Then-
equivalent to today's money.
Yes.
Just let them know, because when you say 150 now,
No.
roughly
It was 1 to 1 then.
It was
with the
1 naira
pounds
per
Then
pound
with the
then.
And how do you know? When I was going to buy my ticket in 1991, I think I paid
Hey.
720 naira in 1991. 720 naira.
Well,
And you
for-
pay
So
for
now
it
we're
by
talking
yourself.
about the 80s,
Yes,
right?
I started earning money at the from by 19. I was earning good money. The last 2 years of my stay in university, I paid for myself all through.
Wow.
So I've learned how to learn.
So the
earn
media
money.
has always paid you. It has
Media
always-
has
and then
always
it
worked
brings
for
me
me.
back to 2003 when you had the first black TV in
Yes.
Sky on
Now,
Sky.
re-
Now you said something. I was gonna pick you by your words when you said it was. Now you are a DJ with a face.
Yes.
So the TV station helped you.
No. It was massive. Because remember then, that was the only platform. I would go into. I remember walking to Tesco in not the Sainsbury's in King's Cross, in Dalston, and people would come to me speaking Ghanaian to me. Because at one point we moved to the Ghanaian station as well.
Yeah.
They would come and say, they just assumed,
You're Ghanaian, yeah.
because and what we used to do back then, if you remember, Femi, there are 54 African countries.
Yeah.
So one of our plans that we realized very quickly was we need to bring in. So before there was a Ghanaian station, then Paul Akwaba and all them guys,
Yeah.
when they had their independent
used to
shows,
do that, yeah.
we just, and they would bring artists over. We just tell them to come on the show.
Yeah.
Because I know on that day, the whole of Ghana in this country.
It's
We'll be
watching.
watching show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Lloyd,
Yeah.
Taffy,
Yeah.
and when any of these Thomas Mafumo.
Yeah.
All those guys came on the show. Even Shaka Shaka.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anytime they're on the show, we get their numbers watching. And once they
adds
go,
up.
the following week, they'll join us again.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to be. Until to this very moment, I'm still enjoying
The dividends of.
the dividends of. So media, this is why what we're doing here is so important.
It's very important.
Because it's an opportunity to tell our stories.
And I remember, obviously, the first time I met Abass was Andy's, West Green Road, where me and my boys.
I was in the world then.
Where me and my boys used to walk in.
I was in the
This
world
was early
then.
19.
97.
Where me and my boys used to roll in. And Abass used to be behind the deck, like DJing and everything. That was the first time I heard about Abass. Like, there's a DJ, Andy's and everything, which is cool. And then, obviously, moving from there, and then I saw Abass on Sky. You know, I used to be with More Flow Production.
Yes.
Remember Jordan and them?
This man used to sing. He was in a group, he was an Afrobeat artist. He was an early Afrobeat artist. Yes. More Flow, there was a Jordan. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to AY. Shout out Ife. Magnum. Yes. Everybody call my name.
Yes. Magnum. Gariloso. AY. Yes. No, obviously there was a group.
Oh, you can't relate.
Afrobeat artist. You didn't know.
Don't mind that.
More Flow Production.
More Flow. No, there is a production called More Flow. Baolo Shefe. So obviously I was at uni when I met them. We're studying media studies then, and that's when I met More Flow.
Yes.
And then we did Skepta. Went to shoot Skepta first music. One of his
Skepta was 19, up and coming then.
Up and coming, yeah. Went to shoot Skepta. One of his earliest music video, SS. You know, me and the group. And then they were telling me about Bang TV and More Flow, Jordan, like, oh, Bang TV. I'm like, okay, there's a guy on Bang TV, intro. I'm like, so one day I was twinning. I'm like, okay, intro. Abass. I said, I know this guy. You know?
Boy.
He used to
I'm a superstar that time.
Yeah, superstar. He's a DJ. I need a West Green Road. I said to my guys, I said, I know them. Then, funny enough, and I saw the guy that run his channel, Alistair.
Yeah.
I know Alistair. We used to run the phone show in the early 90s. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm telling my crew that I know these people. They're like, whoa, that's how I managed to get into Bang TV.
Yes.
You know, with my Abass. And then shortly then my Abass left.
Yes, sir.
To OBE. And I was like,
we are not going to discuss that. We are not going to discuss what happened there. No. We are not going to discuss what happened. But it's all good. It's all good.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Because like I was really looking forward to meeting Abass, Shania for what they were doing, you know, because he started the first entertainment show.
And I'm sure
Sky.
probably you would have probably learnt a lot that early stage from
100%.
Yeah.
But apparently it didn't happen.
Traumatic.
It didn't happen because they had to move.
But we're still rolling.
Yeah, but we're still rolling. We're still rolling.
But you're not working in same production anymore.
Yeah, but we're rolling.
Yeah, but we're still rolling.
I used to bring guests to your show.
We're neighbors.
Yes, exactly.
We're neighbors. We live close to each other.
You guys have come a
that's
long
true,
Oh
way.
yeah,
That's
we're neighbors.
OG came out of
decades.
MTV.
3 decades ago, you guys have come a long way.
Yeah, we're
Indeed,
neighbors. We used to live, you know. So me and Abass were cool from day one, but it's just that we're not. You know, what I was looking forward to did not happen. You know what I'm saying? But which is good, but we're still working together. They were doing that thing on OBE, we're doing ours
On Ben,
with More Flow, with Black Knights, you know, and it was
shout out to Black Knight crew. Dutch the Don. I will tell you one day how I met John.
When it comes to Black Knights, I used to be in the video with Black Knights and Abass. Nigeria independence. What's going on? And you know what, Abass? Talk about Nigeria independence. There used to be only one show in a year. And people look forward to that show.
That one show.
And it's in Nigeria independence.
Nigeria independence, not just Nigeria independence. If you're going to tell the story of Africans in the diaspora, because back in the day as well, we were not as economically solid as we are today. So back then, the mentality was different. Everybody was just working. Everybody just go and walk. Very people were there was not enough
work study.
In fact, most of the ballers then were the street guys. Today, right now, let me use VBO as an example. You come in here, you meet people across all walks of life.
Everywhere.
But back then, it was just the street guys and girls, and they were the ballers. But today you look at now, we're talking about where we are as a people. So there's more disposable
Africans in diaspora.
You cannot
come a long
For
way.
example, I was at a work meeting recently. That was last time. Someone was like, "Your face looks familiar. I must have met you at VBO." I'm like, "Oh, no, I've never been. I've never."
Queen of VBO. Nobody wears a crown. Victor, get your crown.
It's not me. It's like, your face looks. I must have met. I was like, that's VBO. It's really everywhere. Everybody talks about it. I'm like, "Oh, that's good."
This is number one. It's number one.
No. So
I mean, being African in diaspora, Abass.
So the independence days. Back to your question. Where if nobody went out then, at least they will go out on Independence Day.
Have to.
It had a special place of pride, and the good thing, I always thought that thing would die with our generation. But the younger generation now, thanks to Afrobeats, thanks to the advancement we have made as a people, they've lifted Nigeria independence. Some people come and say, why don't you just have one independence? I said, do you know how many we are in this town? we don't even know our numbers.
Can't even. Yeah.
Even the Home Office does not know our numbers.
Yeah.
They're always guesstimating. No, they don't. They always guesstimate.
There's a lot of Nigerians.
So the independence shows now remain the symbolic event for every country, not just also for every country. Ghana might.
But it's different now, isn't it?
You know, it will always be different.
Yeah.
So if I was gonna go around, I'm gonna go to where my category of audience generally, where my old school people are. The young crowd will go to where they
Where
are.
I'm
people.
coming from,
There's
Abass,
no old
where I'm
school when
coming
it comes
from,
to this
because
industrial. You
Abass,
are
where I'm
legend,
coming
that's
from,
the
because
word, not old school.
then you know that there's gonna be one big massive event in Ocean
Back then,
or Stratford,
back then,
or
yeah.
AC1.
Yes,
People look forward to that.
Yes.
Which is, we're talking 5,000, we're talking 3,000
yes.
all the time.
Yeah.
You know, pack out.
Now we're
And
talking.
people-
We're
so,
talking
but
stadiums.
You're talking artist
we're talking
performance.
stadiums.
We're talking stadiums
For
now.
artist performance, yeah, understand.
Well-
I'm talking Nigeria independent because now it's been scattered around. It's like
But it's good
nightclubs
though.
now. Yeah,
It's
I'm just saying it's different now, which is cool. I'm saying from where it started
Yes.
to where it is now. But now Nigeria independent is like club wise.
These people have got no
It's like
details.
it's club thing now,
So
which is cool.
let me ask you guys
Yeah.
something. So obviously, you know, we're talking 90s, early 90s,
Yeah.
early 2000s,
Yeah.
you know, that
Yeah.
era. You know, and I think that's around the time. I think I moved here in about 2001. So you know,
Millennium.
all that time, you know how it was. African culture, African vibe wasn't really a thing. It wasn't
wasn't
something
mainstream.
that not
Even
it
some
wasn't
Africans, even
mainstream.
some
It was
Africans
very-
were not comfortable
yeah,
with
it
being
was
African.
very underground. You know, you had to do a lot of research
To be
to
able
find
to know
out
where to
where to go,
Or where to eat.
Yeah. So I think where my question really is based on now, where obviously African culture, African
Is in the fore.
you know, thing is in the forefront, and people can identify that if they do right, if they work well, they can eat from it.
Absolutely.
So the question now becomes, what is it that inspired you, even from that age where, or from that time where
To drive
the
the
market
message.
wasn't even there? Do you know what I mean? The market wasn't even there. What is it that you felt that made you think, I am going to push this
Pave
industry,
the
I'm
way,
going
yeah.
to push this thing? Because the profits were not there.
At all. But then at Andy's, what were you playing at
The
Andy's?
profits were there. The profits.
Abass.
That's the thing.
What were you playing at Andy's back in the days?
I was earning 150.
I know.
Yes.
But
No.
What kind of music though?
Yeah, but
Now,
always been any.
I'm no. We must.
No, it
end.
wasn't
Because
Afrobeat.
me.
It
I've
wasn't
been a
Afrobeat.
full time. I've been a
it
full
wasn't
time.
Afrobeat.
I'm gonna answer you.
Yeah.
It was I was foot now. If you're tracing the genealogy of Afrobeats, back in the, even up till the millennium, way into the millennium,
Yeah.
any African DJ, your playlist was R&B, hip hop,
Hip hop, yeah.
dancehall, back to R&B.
Yeah.
That was the playlist.
And the slow jam.
The
to
R&B,
kill it off.
hip hop, dancehall, back to, that was the flavor. Now, by the beginning of the millennium, we started having an input of some songs from Ghana, from Nigeria,
Yeah.
and not just that. Most of our audiences, if you remember, Femi, a lot of the female audiences were not Nigerian. They were Zambian, they were Zimbabwe, they were South African.
Even West Indies. Some
Yeah,
female.
some.
Some of them. Yeah.
But I remember as a DJ, and you can ask any other DJ that you know from that era.
Yeah.
Back then, when we started playing, because they would come and say, DJ, don't you have rumba? Rumba is what they.
Yeah, rumba
was
They'll
big.
come and say, don't you
What
have
was Roomba?
rumba? What we call
Congolese.
makosa
Yeah.
or gawu. They say, don't you have rumba?
Oh, I see.
So that was when we now, and they would come and they would stand by you. I said, so I remember the first Nigerian DJ that actually started playing dedicated African rumba music was Jimmy the bald-headed guy.
You're right. You said that.
Jimmy
Shout
was
out
on
to
the
Jimmy.
show. Yeah, Jimmy was on the
Jimmy-
show. Yeah.
Now,
Jimmy
Number
was on the
one.
show.
mind
You
you,
told
Jimmy
us
was
that
not a
story.
DJ then. He was an MC.
MC, yeah.
But he was collecting African music. So what most of us, it was like an unspoken understanding. Okay, the club starts at 10. Jimmy, come early. And Jimmy at 10 will start to play Kofi Olomide,
Yeah.
Awilo, Wera Song, General Defoe. All Jimmy was one that gave all, and we started picking out that okay, there are some songs that the ladies like. we put them.
So tell me, who is Jimmy? The boy? Is it
Wait,
black?
Google is your friend. Google is your friend. Jimmy. Yeah, Google.
We had Jimmy a few
He's one
weeks
of the
ago.
pioneers.
No.
One of the.
Is it black?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ninja boy.
Okay, no, not Jimmy.
Jimmy,
the
Ninja
boy-headed
boy. Boy-headed guy. Top guy.
And Jimmy would
Top
come
guy.
and play those songs. And what we noticed, but he wasn't mixing it. We noticed that once Jimmy starts to play, all the African ladies, they come on the floor and they would not leave. So it was clear that we had to look into this thing. That we didn't have a set for it. So once we start to play, and once those ladies come in, the only reason they were coming because they knew we would play it. Nobody was playing them songs then. So and they would come and we just started to build. And then in 1999, what is perhaps the greatest African song, and I say that guardedly, one of the greatest African songs ever that came out, Premier Gao.
Premier Gao.
When Premier Gao,
Is it the Lekpa Gao?
yes, Premier Gao Magic System. When it came out,
That was a hit.
that was a game changer.
Yeah.
It was a must play on the nights.
Yeah.
And then we had the songs from Nigeria, Remedies, Mio Shakomo,
Yeah.
all the Plantation
Peters.
Boys.
Yeah.
Shina Peters was for independence. Independence. Of course, independence only.
Independence,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
had Tony Tetrula, isn't it?
Remedies, yeah,
So-
with Remedies.
yeah,
They would come,
Tony
you don't
Tetrula,
hit my car. So all those guys started
Yeah.
coming.
Olufumi.
So from
Star
2000
Plus,
all the way up to 2006, that was when, because we still didn't have a session, but we had some songs that we could
Yeah,
play.
that you could put in there.
That we could put in there, and then we had the Ghanaian ones then, or Brafo, Woko Kotiba.
Yeah, VIP.
So VIP,
Yeah.
so Tic Tac and Tetula.
Yeah.
You may
yeah.
kiss the bride.
Reggie
Bully.
Rockstone.
So
Yeah.
and this is when people, this is how I do. When they say how did it, I said this is how I describe it. That it was a combination of the music and the audience.
And the audience.
Because they were mostly the ladies that would come and request it. If I remember Andy that time, and I hope he's watching that time. Once we get into the groove at times, and it's Abass, man, make you play jam. Yeah, jam means play R&B, play hip hop.
Yeah.
So when we are thanking people for this thing, it was everybody. There are people in media. There were DJs. There were the audience. Because if we did not have an audience to play for, and also the first Afrobeats show in this town with an Afrobeats act was 2003. Intro Independence Jam, where we brought Tetula and Tribesmen.
Yeah.
But don't you also
and
think, I was just going to drop this too, don't you think that the Afrobeat songs are like more danceable? They're more danceable.
No. All genres are danceable. The question is which one is reigning.
Yeah.
We used to play R&B, hip hop. You don't hear my R&B set. You go faint too. No.
Yeah, 2003. I remember that year with Tony Tetula,
Tribesmen, and then the following year was Idris, the band.
The band came.
All those guys. So,
Yeah.
so when you at that point now we are doing concerts with 2,000 people, and people in the UK came, and the only way we could have done that was TV. Because they're watching us, we are playing those videos for them every Wednesday, and now they actually are coming into town. And that was another game changer. So of course you have to reflect in our playlist and how we play. And now fast forward, if I look at VBO now on a Friday night, Afrobeat is easily 50% of your playlist.
Oh yeah.
Easily.
Oh, more,
And I'm being conservative right now. 50%. So that journey from one or two songs to 50%, to some clubs 80-100%, that journey is in all this activity that we're talking about. So kudos, and the greatest benefit thing I like is the fact that my children now are now Africanized.
Yeah.
And
Because
as you're saying that,
schools.
as you're saying that, I remember one of the first things. This was like 90s again. I was still young and in school. I remember going for a rugby tour in South Africa, and again, as you're saying, the music was R&B, hip hop, was all of that dancehall and stuff. And we sneaked out of camp, and then we went to a local club that was there and stuff. And this was the first time I experienced something like this, where they got to a session where they used to call it "Local is laka." That's what they used to say.
Local is laka.
Yeah, they used to say that.
That's local is hot.
Yeah, so which basically means that they got to a stage where they did not play anything that was Western. They played local music. So equally to going back, the reason why I'm bringing that up is going back to what you're saying is And I think Vic always pushes that point where he says that, the artists, yes, they make the music. Yes, it's amazing and it's great and whatever. But the way that the people consume it and the people think it is through the clubs and it's through the DJs.
Absolutely.
So the people who are pushing the culture and the narrative and thing are the clubs and the DJs.
Absolutely. And media.
Which is true.
I was going to ask this last question now. Just last question.
1 minute. We're going to go for a short break. We're going to go for a quick short break. Guys, make sure you follow us, you like us, you repost.
Details on screen.
Details will be on the screen. And, VBO Lounge, we're here for you every Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
and I'm here
Sunday.
every last Friday.
Every last Friday of the month.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
Everyone. So if
I keep my enemies busy.
If you want to book your table, your birthday, the details gonna come on the screen. We're gonna go for a short break now, guys.
I will be right back.
I will be right back with DJ Abass, the one and only DJ Abass in the building.
And
welcome back to Industry House podcast, Life at VBO. No introduction. DJ Abass is still in the building.
gang.
You know how they do this, man. Africans in diaspora, African culture.
Yes, sir.
It's come a long way, and where we are today, it's not just a movie. It's not just the music alone. Even the movie industry. There's so much that's kind of
absolutely.
And would you say Africa is now more than West Indies, like from back in the days?
It's a conversation.
But they said the West Indies was like, but now
you know what I try to push right now.
As Afrobeat taking it to that level, where that Africans now, we're everywhere. They're dancing. You heard what this guy said the last time. What's his name? Was he Bounty Killer?
Bounty Killer.
Yeah.
But no, did you see the full? No, but did you see the full document?
No, I would say no.
What they did was cut out a part that did not represent his opinion. If you see the full documentary, what he was actually saying was very positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 30-second clip that went round was actually very malicious because that was not what he was saying. He didn't represent what he was saying.
Okay.
But in terms of and at this stage right now, I think it's important we start to push the narrative of unity.
Yeah.
Peter Church said, "It doesn't matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. Don't mind your nationality. You have got the identity of an African." No, that's it. So that is where we should be right now. The Europeans came to Africa and they practiced divide and rule. And they came and created boundaries in Africa. There is no African country you go to today where those boundaries are exact. Because you see, on the other side of the boundary, there are people that you speak the same language, you eat the same food, you have the same culture. Those boundaries disunited a lot of those. So right now, we need to start to see the West Indies as part of us. I was in Antigua 2 months ago. I went for a gig, and they only listen to Afrobeats in Antigua. They watch Nollywood in Antigua.
Yep.
A lot unites us than divides us. So we have to be careful about some of the narratives that we push.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
It's not about the narrative.
I get where you're coming from. We're in the UK, and I get what you're saying because I alluded to it previously.
Yeah.
But in this UK that we live in right now, really, the total populations of Caribbeans and Africans mixed together is under 2%. That's the numbers.
Yeah.
Under 2%.
It's under 2%.
With
Yes.
the population we have.
100%.
The London population that you think London, UK is only
London is
London.
about almost 60 million.
But once we bunch up, and that's the beauty of where we are right now. When we were back in our day, the Nigerians were doing their own thing, Ghanaians doing their own thing. But today, the audience, look at Burna Boy's show. 50% of its audiences are not Nigerian. They're not even Africans.
Right.
So it's telling you that the mix is happening. I've DJ'd a lot of weddings, Nigeria versus Zimbabwe, Nigeria versus Congo. The narrative is changing. So in terms of those Caribbean numbers, when I didn't like that bounty, I didn't like that the person that caught that 30-second thing.
Yeah,
the intention was not pure. Because when because I saw that thing and everyone was tagging me, I now went to watch the original, the full length on YouTube, and what he was saying basically was that where dancehall is before is where Afrobeats is now.
Yeah.
And he's saying, why did Afrobeats drop off? He said, look at Afrobeats, they understand what this period needs and they give it. But dancehall moved away, and that's what he was trying to say in that thing. It was very complimentary of Afrobeats. So if you look at the Caribbean right now, the whole of Jamaica is 3 million people. The Caribbean islands are not massive, but they are part of us. So we need to go and find where our people is, whatever across the planet. And even if we cannot bring everybody back to Africa or go there, we need to unite in our consciousness. And that is where we are right now. So when people ask me about this whole Afrobeats thing, what are the benefits? The benefits are not just enough in Wizzy selling our shows in the UK. How is that money translating back to development back in Africa? Because you still hear Davido sing about Gucci Versace. And Gucci Versace does not pay him 1 penny.
1 penny, yeah.
Right.
1 penny. But imagine if Wizzy, Davido, Burna Boy are singing about our designers. Do you know what impact that would have on the fashion
100%.
industry?
True.
Yeah.
That's
True
where
talk.
the money
True
comes
talk.
from.
Yeah.
And that money is not just going to be coming
Just
from us.
mention
It's going to be
one
coming,
designer.
but it needs to be intentional.
Yeah.
It needs to be intentional. If you remember back in the day of hip hop, all the black artists make that mistake in America too.
Yeah,
Pass the Courvoisier, Hennessy. They were not paid 1 penny.
No.
But when a black man wants a drink comes to them, they say go bring $200,000. It's madness.
I think it comes back to what we're going to discuss later
Yes.
about the artists themselves. That what Taffy was saying earlier, that the clubs, the African clubs and DJs has helped get
Push
those artists
Out.
where they are today. Because like what I said earlier, I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and they didn't know about Idris Elba being a DJ. And so I mentioned few of the song, which Boste was one, and the other one, Voom Voom Voom, with Davido was the second one. And when you look at the view, 3.5 million over a year ago on YouTube, and compared to other songs, and I could reflect immediately back to the activity that happens here. I've never heard that song being played by the DJ. Now,
In the clubs.
yes, in the club, I could compare that. That's the reason why sometimes some of these tracks
Don't
these
penetrate.
songs
They don't make it to that mainstream.
because I remember when we first started, there was an artist that was meant to come here. It's an Nigerian artist, but locally in the UK. The agreement fell through because their demands were getting higher, so I dropped it. But while we were pushing it, among some of our matured crowd who actually didn't recognize the artist, automatically that grew with when you look at his viewing. When we started pushing it, because we created a different audience to actually start looking at the song.
Yeah.
When we started sort of, pushing it that this artist is going to
Inside the club.
perform. Yes, inside the club. So you can see the reflection. I think Past Mark did mention that again, that when he sang on My Bed,
Yeah, he had a
and the
lot.
following week,
He had a lot of
he looked at
comments.
his
Social
His numbers
media.
on social media.
numbers.
Yeah.
I think it's on
Shazam.
Shazam.
More people are,
Yes, that is gone high because people have actually Shazammed it.
Is the visibility.
Yes. So you look at the importance of what the clubs and the DJs are pushing, and in going back again to what you said earlier, about that the artists are not actually promoting, our local, whether clubs or our DJs are not giving them that recognition in their song that they put out. It goes back again to the fees that the charges clubs to actually come and perform.
Yeah.
Where the club and the DJs are the one bringing their fan closer to them.
Meanwhile, they
You
go
understand?
to Western clubs and struggle to be recognized.
Yes. So you then see that
for nothing.
Yes, they struggle to be recognized. They don't even nobody know.
No, you're absolutely right, because I remember growing up, one of my first holidays, so I'm from Zimbabwe, as you guys know, and one of my first holidays that I had, which was early 90s, we went to Victoria Falls. Victoria Falls is an amazing
Beautiful.
place in Zimbabwe, beautiful place. And, as a family, we're privileged enough to actually go there. And one of the things that I noticed is, as we were going through, there had two prices. So they had the local price and the
diaspora price.
Foreigner's price, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you're local people, you would pay much less. But if you're a tourist and do your thing. So in a way, I sort of feel like, as you're basically saying, is that when some of these artists come, yes, they need to pay bills, they need to get paid and whatever, but they also has to be remember that the people who are pushing their agenda, who are pushing their music, who are making them popular, are the African clubs. We're the ones, like as you rightly said, you come here, you go to most of the mainstream African clubs in there, and most of the music is Afrobeats. So we're the ones who are pushing. Not meaning to drop names or whatever, because obviously Davido dropped his album last week.
Yes, yeah.
And it was just last week he dropped it. But last weekend, there were at least about 2 or 3 Davido songs from his new album that were being pushed
on rotation over here.
In the club already.
Yeah.
That is promotion. These are some people who are in the club haven't even heard of it.
And
They're going to Shazam it. They're going to, and they're not paying the clubs for that promotion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We're pushing
and we're
the
bearing
agenda.
that cost.
And then when you now call on these artists to come and showcase,
they don't want to know
bring
us.
£20,000.
Actually, and you bring in actually their fans closer
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
So, like I would say that we've done a lot of artists here, and we know what we've paid, and I can tell you that, we never made money from it, but the point in us doing it is basically to give back to our fans. Then
to our
giving back
customers.
to our fans. So
At a
I always-
cost.
yes, at
At
a
a
cost.
cost to us,
So
yeah.
A serious cost.
Yes, so we're taking those costs, saying, okay, you know what, give back to our fans because we want to bring in this artist. So I can decide that, I don't want an artist because there's no
benefit.
there's no
There's no
benefit to it.
benefit.
And
There's
so
no direct
our
benefit.
fans. So we're actually saying, okay, these are your fans. They love you. They want to listen. They want to come close to you. It's also what they're also paying back to their fans. You understand? So whether they are doing
Do you feel
something
like
like
these artists should do like club tours?
Yeah,
No, no,
At least
no.
they need to do free
They do.
club tours.
No,
when
no, no,
they
no,
are-
no,
You're asking for free.
No, it has to be free.
No,
No, no, no, no, no, no, no, no, no,
Why
no,
not?
no, no, no.
You're not going to
because
get. You're not going to
time
get to if you say
and
free.
the thing.
But
We
at
don't
least
want
you have
free.
to be sensible.
But it has to be sensible.
And-
So this is where I was
But
going
the
with
problem
that.
about sensible
Especially
is like
when
you might
you're
offer
in the diaspora.
you might offer
Especially when you're
a
in the
certain
diaspora.
price,
But-
yeah.
okay,
Like
let me-
another
Femi,
club
Femi,
will not eye.
Hold on, hold on.
Because they want to
Hold
get
on,
that same
okay, Femi,
artist.
hold on.
So
but
the
we have
point-
to schedule
Femi,
this
So the
thing.
point
We
that I
can't-
was
we can't
making
make
earlier
it very clumsy.
is that yes, these guys, they have to get paid, they have to get money. It's a business for
Yeah,
them.
because they've
They,
done
and they deserve it because
Of
they're
course,
giving
they've
us
earned
good
it, yes,
content.
yeah.
However, they really need to be that realization to say
And have different rates for different
exactly.
platforms.
So there now needs to be actually say, oh listen,
But
for
this
my
is appearance.
African
No,
clubs,
this is
for
like
my
a-
African
but
people that I'm
Taffy.
giving to or performing, I'm going to have this rate. And for other people who are
have-
consuming whole thing, then I might have a different
export
rate.
price.
But you know
Because-
the irony of this? The artist never becomes a part of this conversation. It's the management. Because when they're in the UK,
You're right.
normally they come and do the club shows on the back of a main concert they've come to do in the UK. And 99% of the time you are talking to the management, not the artist. In fact, you'll be surprised that the artist may not get 1 penny from that, whatever is being paid for that appearance.
But the artists themselves can say, I need to be aware. For example,
Which is
if
why-
someone is managing me or someone is looking after something for me, I would also want to be part of that talk. I would want to say, okay, you know what?
What am I going to
What
do in this
conversation
club?
is going on between you and this venue?
Yeah.
Can I know what is happening?
And-
if they say they are refusing to pay,
You see, and
I would need to get
until you
involved.
speak with the artist, because I've been privy to some conversations, we've spoken many times on this type of deals. Because normally, what the artists generally tend to do with those shows is leave it with the managers as
management, yeah.
as something for them to just make. So generally, now look at Wizkid.
Sometimes the management and the promoters.
After Wizkid did his first O2 show, if you remember what he did, he went back to Governor Lounge. He said, this is where I had my first club show in the UK. And as a gesture, he went back to LA Lounge to do a free show. Do you remember? LA Lounge.
Yeah, his first show. Yeah.
He went. It was specific. Now, can LA Lounge take Wizkid's number? Of course not.
Of course.
But he decided that that's where I'm going. It was intentional.
humbleness.
Another artist you will pick that, if there's anything to say about any artist, Davido.
Yeah.
If there's anybody
Yeah.
that has in his way, or back to the old school, Two-Face Idibia, they've made themselves accessible.
Yeah.
Two-Face now your guy now.
I know.
Oh, no. So at times some of this thing is down to the personalities.
Abass, I don't want to say much because what you're saying now is true. But the problem is there's people around these artists.
At times it's no.
Nice.
It's at times
There's people around them that
you see, but then it's the team at times. So I'm just trying to create a balance in this conversation that you're very, very right. Back in the day, it was the DJs that used to break the music for the stars. Social media has taken over. And where did we used to break it? It was in the clubs. Trust me. Because there are different types of audiences. You have those who listen on radio. You have the club, the people who play it non-stop regularly. And when they're coming here, of course, there are hundreds of clubs. And we don't expect them to go for all.
No.
When you need to do, particularly also for the frontline acts,
Yeah.
it needs to be a matter of policy. It's okay, maybe we'll do, on this trip, we'll do 2.
You're really protecting the artist's interest, really.
No,
It's not. It's not.
I'm balancing
It's
it.
genuine.
From what I can
No, you
see,
are.
Because I'm on both sides.
you are protecting.
No.
the
I am. No, hear me. I'm on both sides, and I know what goes down. We've spoken in the past, and I've tried to have conversations. I'm not speaking to the artist. I'm speaking to management, and the difference and the disagreement ends up to whatever that, because the artists oftentimes don't even care about whatever is going to come out of it. I know this for a fact.
But you're referring to
So the management,
top class artists.
you know, and now,
But you have the upcoming.
so now you see the upcoming
who are now
artists.
also-
They are hungry.
Yeah.
And I say that with every sense of respect. When I say they are hungry, they are up and coming. If you look in the Afrobeat sector now, it's like there are 4 tiers. So you have, of course, right now, and then that, and you've hosted a whole lot of them,
Yes.
and you've paid over the odds. I know because you've paid over the odds to get some of them in, and I know it's not a profit thing. Because you think, no, we have it's opportunity for our VBO audience here to get to feel and touch these guys, and you go over the odds to make that happen. You get it? But can it be better? Yes, they can come with a better deal. And I'm sure they're watching this right now, and they need to listen, because the UK plays a primary role in the selling of this Afrobeat to the whole world.
Yes.
And which clubs are the frontline clubs? Those are the questions I would expect them to say. Okay, we're coming to the UK right now. We need to showcase here. We need to showcase here. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You guys go do the deal.
Yeah,
let's
please.
make it happen.
At least saw something out
It's
with
about
those people.
let's make it happen.
Saw something out.
In
Yeah.
the whole of the north, not London, you can't mention any Afrobeat.
No.
Any black
It's
club.
not. It's not the whole of London. London.
London.
Queen of our VBO is London. It's not London. It's London.
I'm not marketing
But
videos.
if I was going, no, this is how business works.
Yeah.
Because it's a cycle. It's a cycle. So when they come to London, you are talking about clubs. Do you know the struggle to get them to come and do TV shows for us? We are talking about that one.
No, true.
We have not even. You are talking. We are talking.
True.
So okay,
TV shows.
Come and do.
Yeah.
Do you know how many artists I have advertised?
Yeah,
and
and
some
they didn't even
last
show.
minute.
Yeah, last
they
minute.
just
Thank you for saying this.
We're not gonna mention names.
Yeah, I don't want to mention it.
It's happened
I will
now.
tell you today, there was one artist that we booked, big artist that didn't show up, yeah? And the manager rang me and said, "Oh, Femi, is my artist there?" I said, "No." When the artist got back, he gave him a dirty slap.
So
that artist hates me up to today.
So-
but not be me.
as you're talking
It
club,
wasn't my fault.
we in media, they are coming to town. We are the ones that have been promoting this show.
Yeah.
Come and give us 15 minutes.
No chance.
I'm not even going to go, and with all due respect, a good majority have showed up at my show.
100%,
But I found
yeah.
myself in circumstances where the artists, they'll come up with one story or the other. What can I do? What can I do?
Me, I will say this now.
So, you get my
because,
point.
Yeah, I will say this.
It's across
I get
the
where
board.
you're coming from, because then the only platform was Ben TV. True, you.
Of course.
Intro,
Even then, when it was the only
intro,
platform,
yeah.
we had some of those issues as well.
True. But it wasn't as much as what we went
But
through.
it's the same problem.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you are not talking to the artist.
You're talking to the manager.
You are talking. So it's all down to if that manager, and then this was back in the time where the managers were not professional managers. They were just one close friend, you know, that didn't understand the importance of some of these things, you know.
No, you're absolutely right. Because
I
mean, just to add on,
but it's different now.
Yeah, want to add on to that, because I think you did point on something that was very important, because the new age that we are now is people bring out, they don't need that promo. So someone has got a YouTube channel, someone has got Instagram. As long as they put it onto their thing, it reaches so many people.
Which is cool.
One of the main things that a lot of people don't realize, and again, I'm not picking on one particular person, but the Davido album just came up last week, and and I was asking, and I've been asking a few people, what do you think of Davido's album? Obviously, there's some popular songs that have come up, But what you realize is that when you consume the music, when it comes through your Instagram feed, or when it comes through YouTube and you play it in your car or you play it in your house, there's certain things musically wise that you don't get, that you don't pick up. Remember, we're talking about the new Asake 230. Yeah. Bad song. But guess what? I think a few days before we had listened to it. Yes. But when Alvin dropped it the other time in the club,
I was like,
it's the vibes in the club,
because
it was that vibe inside the club.
Sound, the thing, it's going crazy. Do you know what I mean? So as much as these guys will understand that they've got their platforms and they're pushing out the music, it's a totally different vibe.
Everywhere is a platform. Here is a platform.
Club. Do you understand?
The club is a platform. Radio is a platform. MSP is a platform. There are platforms everywhere, and you need to be ticking every box.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like I said, part of this whole development of this genre is also down to their team. How many, getting the right people, and then a lot of the big guys now. I think it's about time they should be having diaspora teams. The UK.
Did you say that? Did you just say that? That's where I want to.
Yeah, team. So when
you're coming to night, and the top guys do, because the top guys do. Yeah. So they have people when they need to come to the UK. They have people they leave. Most of the top guys I know when they come for the interviews is the UK team that call me.
Mm-hmm. But this UK team also plays a blockage.
No.
You see them.
Which company?
Blockage.
We know.
Yes.
They do. Abass, they do.
Hear me out.
They do.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
They pick.
Hear me out.
It shouldn't be like that.
So what I say oftentimes.
Good one.
You see relationships,
Yeah.
And that's one thing you guys do brilliantly. Because this problem you've not had with every artist. You were sweet with some artists.
Yeah.
It is our business. It's man no man.
Yeah, who you know.
Who do you know? You see this thing you are saying, if you go to some other clubs, they feel bring cutlass out. Because you've had a fair bite of all the top artists in this town.
Yeah.
So it's just like the extras you didn't get. But there are some venues that are like, they don't even look away. But why have you had those artists? It's relationships, of course, back with pain and with money and everything. It's a combination of all those factors. So what I've learned is, typically what I do when I know there's any artist, I just want to know one key person in the team.
Around here.
Some of them even lose a lot of money because they have wrong people handling different things for them. Some people are just brands, they want to spend money with them. We need to do stuff. But if you cannot get through to the artist, and whoever this the person that's meant to be engaging does not understand, it becomes... Do you know how many people call me to book artists for them? Why do they call me? Because they know I probably know the artist. I can call somebody. But today, let me pick a random artist. Let's pick a random American artist. Pick one. Random. Let's pick one.
50 Cent.
50 Cent. So let's say VBO wants to celebrate an event and you need 50 Cent. Do you know if you go onto his webpage right now and send a message, in 24 hours, you will get a reply?
Yep. 100, yep.
We can do it. We can do the test right now.
100, yeah.
In 24 hours.
I agree with that.
Because they know it comes down to one thing. The money. They will not miss the opportunity of having that engagement. And we can do the same test with our artists.
No response.
I don't need to be calling anybody. I mean, how many people will I know? But if there's a website and a portal where I can just go and say, you know what, we are so, the reply is 2. Either we are not available, or what are the terms?
Yeah.
But what did never happen is to ignore. Michael Jackson and all the biggest artists, they've got management teams everywhere. They have in the UK. So when you reach out to them, somebody will reply you because that's their income. But how many of our acts have that?
So listening to you now, what you're trying to say is that the management of this
Systemic, there's a systemic problem at times.
Failure
It's a
already.
systemic failure.
Are you also
100%.
saying that the invent of social media doesn't have an impact in all of this?
It has an impact. But if you don't, you see, we are running a business here. That's what we're talking about right now. If I'm coming, I want to visit VBO on a Friday night, and I want to come party, I'm going to call a number. I'm coming with X amount of people. Can I have a reservation? How much is it? And that is set up, and they'll give me the terms and conditions, and I make it happen. That is the least.
You know the
that is
problem?
the least I
Abass,
can expect.
Abass, I get what you're saying. You know the problem is like you talking about management.
Yes.
There's different kind of management. There's someone that say I'm the manager.
No.
Yeah.
There's only one management.
I know.
An effective one and an ineffective one.
Let me explain something to you.
That is it. There's only. That's it.
There's a management. There's a guy that said, "Oh, you know what? Don't worry, I can get this artist free for this price." And then this one comes and say, "No, I can get the artist free for that price."
See, Anna,
because these two people has got connection with the artist.
Femi, let me tell you what happens.
Both of them got connection.
And that's
with the
why I
artist.
said. That's why I tell you. When I told you to pick one American artist, I told you to pick anyone. I didn't say. I said pick anyone.
But that's American artists. We're talking about African artists.
But the Americans have set the standard. And in this Britain, pick any artist. If I need any artist, I get those calls every day. Some people don't know what to do, and I just go onto the website and I write an email and say we need this.
So another thing that I was going to speak on, which is I think I touched on earlier on with Jimmy. Jimmy's told a story. Jimmy the Baldhead guy.
Yes.
He told a story, and you confirmed it as well in terms of things. He told a story that was very, very touching to me. I heard Jimmy's story, and I was very touched by it. So one of the things is that there are people who have put in their blood, sweat, and tears. Jimmy was telling us about how he used to go to venues and
put CDs on cards.
Put CDs on cards. There was no money coming to Jimmy. This is Jimmy promoting other people's product, Niger mixtape, and nothing. So it might say Jimmy the Baldhead guy in terms of thing, but nothing is coming to him. He's pushing a product. So he might play it there. He might. Do you know what I mean? The passion.
Yeah.
But the point that I was trying to make is that so many people have been down that path.
Absolutely.
Yourself included.
Absolutely.
Because you're one of the pioneers of pushing this genre and this music. So at what point do you guys get recognized? At what point do you guys... Okay, it's not always a money situation because again, there's you've got the respect and you play in clubs and stuff like that. But that acknowledgement from the artists themselves to say that you guys have paved the way. So when you're talking about artists having diaspora sort of like media connections and whatever, this is where people like you come in, where you're now saying to say, okay, how does DJ Abass, one of the people who from the early 90s and has always been pushing Afrobeats and is always Afrobeats advocate, where do you get your flowers?
The first thing I will tell anybody in this game, this industry is a thankless industry.
That's a good way to.
The first thing I tell everybody.
So what happened to things like the headies?
Hold on, I'm coming there. That's my friend. This industry is a thankless industry, and I mean entertainment as a whole. What's the name of this American artist? He was saying recently that you need to tell your story. A generation is 14 years. 14 years. That's a generation. Do you know how quickly people forget?
Oh, very.
Femi, this Ben TV we are talking about, if we ask some 35-year-olds in this town, they don't know. You must always tell your story. Especially if your income is tied to your story. Nobody cares. The people who are coming up right now, they don't care who was doing stuff 5 years ago. Hear me, Femi, please hear me out. Okay. They don't care. The people who are doing stuff 5 years, they don't care. Everybody is concerned about the now. That is life, my brother. Sadly. especially in this our industry. Nobody cares. And I'll give you some examples that I've never done before because I don't do this, but I'm a veteran.
You are.
Done it, got the flowers and everything.
Legend.
But even at that, I watch where I go. If I don't feel I'm going to be recognized, not even recognized in terms of I'm demanding it, but if you've been in an industry to a certain point, you expect at least, some certain level of
Video.
and if I feel I'm not going to be comfortable in those places, my brother, I don't go there.
Forget it.
But what I do very well is tell my story 24/7. Because there's so many people coming who don't know the before.
That's why we got Industry House podcast.
That's why I started.
For them to know.
This is why I started
For
with
them
this.
to see.
So you cannot
Tell
wait
your
and
story.
sit down and expect one person to now wake up and say, that guy useless. No, this industry don't give. They don't give to. If you guys close down today, if they see you in 2 years time, no, hold on. If in 2 years time they'll come to, that's that guy. If you're lucky, that's that. Sadly, that is our industry. It is a thankless industry. So always make sure as you make your achievements, always tell your story. We have the platforms that there's no excuse. And as you tell your story, there are actually people out there who want to know those people that started it. They want to feed off their experience. They want to feed off their knowledge. But if you are not telling your story, if you are not telling your story, they will not know. No. And this is Afrobeats the backstory. I don't know if you've seen the documentary. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
Afrobeat the backstory.
no,
Afrobeat the backstory.
I crave your indulgence.
I never mentioned.
Hold on. I crave your indulgence. My good friend Ayo Shonaya back then, he was the one that invited me on to, and he was capturing all we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And he decided to tell this story, and we all were part of the building process for the Netflix. It's a hit. It's one of their. They actually have a must-watch black. They call it must-watch black on Netflix. And from the that was stories in it.
Yeah, it's there.
And what did we do? We basically told our story as we see it in the industry from then. Millions have watched that documentary. I'm getting consultancy jobs right now on the back of that documentary. If you don't tell your story, everybody must tell their story.
Baby, when we say
this industry is thankless. So and like I said, the water keeps changing. New people come in, new people go.
But at the same time, we can't forget everyone in the circle.
You are not listening to me.
Okay,
you are not listening. In telling my story, I didn't talk about myself only.
True.
I talked about those who were in my circle. I talked about you. I talked about Ben TV.
Oh, okay.
I talked about Dutch.
No, baby, it's not about really talking about.
But no,
Smith was interviewed.
Yes, he was.
Ade Chopin was interviewed.
No. Hear me out. No. Hold on.
When we talk about industry,
Femi.
we talk about Black Knights.
Who invited me here?
Me.
Exactly. You invited me. And I'm telling my story. This show is telling your story.
Family,
my brother.
Yeah, true.
If you don't, for those who are watching right now, particularly our people who are a bit upset about narratives that are going around, there's gonna be 1,000,001 narratives.
100%.
But it's the narrative that is expressed, that is heard. You're talking about some artists not giving deals. They're gonna be watching this thing.
Yeah.
They're hearing. It's about, so everybody must come out and tell your story. That is how this industry is thankless. So
tell your story. No, it's true.
Tell your story.
So we have to come and tell our story then.
Always tell your story.
Tell your story, guys.
Always.
Femi.
So
tell our story.
Going forward.
Big up to you guys. Afrobeat.
I know we need to go
backstory. Netflix.
Abass,
you be my guy. Abass, you be my guy.
Yes,
so
we come long way,
I know we need to go on a break. But when we come back, one of the
let's go on a break. Let's go on a break.
One of the things I want to
say when you come back on a break.
Let's go on a break. This is guys. Industry House podcast, live on VBO, exclusive. Exclusive.
So,
I'm here.
One of the
you
things.
Never had this before. No. Guy, we told you, man. Exclusive. Industry House, live on Industrial podcast, live on VBO Lounge. Yo, we're bringing it to you, man. DJ
Yes,
Abass. DJ Abass is in the building. Victor's in the building. Taffy's in the building. Queen Jay. VBO. Big up to Sky. Big up to Juice. Big up to everyone. Yo, guys, make sure you follow us. Follow us. Like us. Yo, Lagos. Follow us. Like us. You know, and then comment. And then, you know what I'm saying?
Details on screen.
Details on screen.
Details on screen.
We'll be right back.
You know, everything is on screen. But we'll see you guys after this break. Yes, welcome back, Industry House Podcast, live on VBO. Taffy, you got what? There's some you want to speak to Abass.
Burning question.
You know, yo guys, like we said, this is industry.
Yes,
You see that? You know.
No, honestly, like you know, so we've obviously had the background story. We've learned how, you know, what introduced you to the industry, coming in from Nigeria, coming in over here, the stuff you've done in the media and stuff. But one of the things that's always important is, like, we're talking 20 plus years, we're going on to 30 years, we're talking about. What is it that still gives you that passion to still be involved? What is it that even gives you the relevance? Because even now, as you were saying before, every last Friday of the month, we've got DJ A here at VBO.
In the building.
And it's one of the, you know, the best nights. What pushes you? Why are you still, you know, relevant?
Like, how are you able to manage yourself
What motivates you? But above everything, above the motivation, because there's a lot of people who are inspired, who are motivated, but the relevance is there as well. Because for you to have a night every single month here at VBO, and it's always a sellout, you know, what is it that, because that's relevant. So what makes you relevant 30 years on, when we've got young, you know, up and coming thing that, you know, but yet your nights are still, you know, very big nights?
It's a combination of factors. First, passion. The passion, which is the first thing that has driven me to this point, has not changed. Number two, it's a business for me as well, so it must work.
Yeah.
So I need to do everything necessary to make sure that works. Thirdly, I just don't partner with anybody. I need to partner with a brand that also complements me. So it's not enough for me to tell people to come out. Where am I bringing them to? What's it like there? What's the vibe? What's the service? So it's not just me, but it's me in the sense that I need to make certain key decisions. So I have a calendar long year of end of month in this place. It's calendar long from January.
From January.
So up to the end of this year, you're gonna catch me here, because you need to also carry your audience along. So it's easier when they know. Last year it was like month after month, but at the beginning of this year we had a conversation. I said, you know what? Let's just let them know that for this whole year, this is the calendar. So if you want to come in June, you want to come in April. So it's all those factors benefiting from what is now existing within our ecosystem as Africans in this country. And of course, I'm very key on that. So, and I won't add the fact that this place is just 5 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
that comes in very, very handy.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the quality of service. And something happened just this week. I'm not going to mention particularly, but there was an online conversation between a venue that didn't deliver and a venue that delivered. And that venue that delivered was VBO. It was not a coincidence. It's a summation of all that's been done from opening till now. It's not by error. That is the scientific part of our business. It's not by error. So when you look at all those factors, it means you need to keep watching the industry, keep studying the industry. What works for this brand? What will make? So I'm going to come in with my input, add it to your input, and put the final narrative out for everybody to. So I do the same thing in music. I do the same thing in movies. Apart from being a fan of movies, my company has been responsible for marketing over half of the UK premieres for Nollywood in the UK since 2007. That's 16 years right now. To talk about all the big titles, we've been there, and the record is there to see, the record is there, and all of that is also building relationships. So it's just at every point in time, what is working in the industry, how can we leverage on it, how can we partner with it, because this is something that's not just a job, it's also passion for me as well. But it has to be passion with excellence. So what are the best platforms? When we started doing premieres at the Odeon is the largest cinema chain in this country. So if you want to bring people to come and watch your movies, you need to give them the best possible platform. Not just find one proxy hall and put up screens and projector and get... No. You're not going to attract the right people.
Do that anyway,
but when you bring them to the right venues, they will come. There are Africans... Now, we are no longer in 1999 or 2000. Now we have Africans who have disposable incomes that can fulfill our financial needs as promoters, but you need to give them the right
quality.
Platform. So everybody's going out now for quality.
For quality.
So if I'm going to club on a Friday night... What is the venue looking like? I do video shoots.
Just like we used to go to the West Ends back in the days.
Now we go to our venues.
Yeah, it's like Paris.
Every time I come here, the maximum I do for video recordings of mine is 30 seconds. I do 30 seconds and just put it on my story and status. And people say, where is this place? 30 seconds of, they just see it and they feel, this is where I want to be. So as much as I support African businesses and other, I always say, are you living up to quality? I'm not going to support you just because you're African. It's not enough. Are you delivering the quality? That is key, and that is across the board. Across the board, all levels of entertainment. So those are the things that are still keeping me in because this is an income for me. And like I said, there are multiple streams in that industry. It's an ecosystem. So I can talk production, I can talk consultancy, I can talk management, I can talk DJing, I can talk... Everything is still in the same pot.
So it's easy for us to say you've been able to play around the ecosystem very...
It's all about the ecosystem. It's all about the ecosystem. So look at the perfect scenario. There's a premiere happening in the next 2 weeks. So I bring the stars here just to come and lounge and dine. 3 days before. We go and do the premiere. When we're done, we come back here and do the after party. I'm not going to no Oyinbo venue. We're doing it for us, but we're doing it because I know the quality is constant. So if you're watching this and you're an African, strive for excellence. It's all about excellence. We want to support everybody, but you must strive for excellence. That is the answer to your question.
Excellence is a value you must bring to the table.
So I was going to try and say something, and a big thank you to DJ Abass from when we opened. I remember vividly before it was this is some part of the story about VBO.
The narrative. Tell your story.
Before we opened, I remember bringing Abass here. I said because nobody knew what we were doing here, and I brought Abass sometime. I think it was around April May
time.
I said. Abass said, I said, when is the opening time? I said, June. Abass said, are you sure? You're still a little bit far away. I said,
we had a lot of back and forth.
Yes.
I said, I said, it's not going to be ready. Is this going to be ready?
No. I said, we must open. And we keep in, we sat down, sort of have a draft, how things are working. It's been going to be 4 years.
Yes. Big anniversary coming up.
It's going to be 4 years.
4 months.
It was August. Carnival weekend.
Guys, we're celebrating 4 years. VBO Lounge.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
And from
which of the enemies?
From that time till now, he has been there. He's always supported.
Big up to Abass.
We have we'll have a chat. So it would sort of give us positive and some sort of constructive feedback as well. And you need that. And when you've got someone legendary in the business that continue to support and also advise on, things areas to improve and areas you're doing well, it sort of helps.
He's got good eyes for industry analysis.
Exactly. So I want to say big thank you.
No, the pleasure is all mine.
Yes.
Though I did not eat my prawn and fish last week, but maybe I'll eat it on the next one. I'll eat it on the next one when I come.
But
Abass,
question. Just to add on what Vic is saying, and I think we were speaking about it before, and Abass was mentioning, that learning attitude, and
yes,
you were talking about like, when you guys started, and you specifically mentioned Vic, and you said, I remember when Vic started that first year, things were whatever, you guys were novice.
It was year one in university.
Whatever, yeah.
And see where you are now.
Yeah, but again, it is not by coincidence. So obviously where we are and where we've got to and stuff, again, just to echo what Vic was saying, to give you your flowers and to thank you, there's a lot.
You came back to put the flowers.
There's a lot that we've had to learn from you guys.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So even just through management, how what we should be doing, where we should be going, direction wise and stuff. And I'm also sure that as the years have gone by, and you've also seen the effort that Vic has put into the place, and you're constantly
non-stop
highlighting
effort.
On the non-stop effort,
non-stop.
And that's the attitude that Vic has. It's never, it's never I've arrived or this is it.
Relentless.
It's always sort of like, okay, what next? What next? What makes this better? What makes, and then again, it comes from learning from you guys, because again, you've been a constant here. I don't think a month goes by without.
I'm 5 minutes away. It's home.
And
my room is in the basement. My room is downstairs.
And I think it's quite good. Like I said, that what, just to add to what Taffy is saying, have a good team, a good management team. Myself, Taffy, and Kat and Amanda.
The team.
Always sit down. We'll look at stuff. We look at even down to wallpaper, down to flowers. We make decisions together.
Sorry, I'm going to ask.
You not celebrate my birthday on Saturday,
in the business?
No, he's
part of the
doing it again. I wasn't invited. So
Abass is a family.
I said I did my birthday on Saturday.
You are doing it again.
Yeah. Abass is a family.
Yes, so we're in house.
And there is.
So is it consultancy, management?
No, so it's
family.
So
it's family.
That's the point that I was making, to say that, listen, these guys have been, they're an extension of the team. They're an extension of the management team. So as you can say, is he a consultancy? Yeah, he's got a consultancy role. He's got extra, so the amount of things that I've learned from Abass, the amount of things I've learned from Casey, the amount of things, even just through talking, as the night is going, we just kind of say, what do we do? What can we do on the side?
Better, lessons learned.
You know what I mean?
Improving the system.
Like it comes to every sort of organizations where you might have in-house sort of directors, immediate board of directors, and you don't have the executive directors, where those who are you would say that executive directors of an
the organization,
within the organization, but that they are part of a consultancy to the organization, so they're part of the organization with the step of being there to support constantly. So he's always been someone that
I'll come back to the time. I'll come back to the time that, like I said, in me as DJ Abass, aligning my brand with another brand. There's so many things I look at. There are many clubs in London. There are many venues in this country. But I always ask myself that question: what venue would work with me? The truth is, we've actually had some of our disagreements, because there were certain times when I was like, I wasn't sure about certain things, but time proved me wrong to say, okay, you know what, this is how it would work. And that is the beauty of having partnerships. The fundamental thing is the venue works. You get it? And then with further conversations with them, I realized it even works better than I thought it would. And that question is a very simple answer, a very simple question to answer. Because at every point in time, I'm extremely particular about my brand. Because that's all I have.
Yes.
So if I'm bringing anybody to anywhere I am, in their head they have a certain expectation. And every time when I'm not sure and I come to you and I sit down with you, all those fears are allayed. That is important. And particularly in this business we're in, it's a very dynamic business. So you're running a business that's going to be 4 years in a few months' time. The way you started is not where you are right now.
Never.
It's been a constant
Growth.
dynamic evolvement. At one stage you started with DJs, you started doing artists, bringing top artists into this place just to keep the narrative going. Most people out there don't know how, they don't understand how this thing works at times. But from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. is 7 hours of intensive work. No, I'm not going to say more than that. Intensive work to keep everybody sweet, week in, week out. Trust me, never ever take it for granted.
No, you can't.
And people that decide to come out to want to spend 4 or 5 hours at the venue, you owe them that duty to make sure you can deliver whatever you promise on. So I would thank you also for making that possible for me, because it could have been the other way around as well. And like I said, this thing is going out to the whole world right now. Trust me. So it's an opportunity for them to know that you want to party, you want to let yourself down, whether you're 20, 30, 40, 50 or 60, and I mean that. No wahala.
No, 60 you said.
Oh, you're a baby.
Yes. You think 60 hours don't have fun? Do you think 60 hours don't have
60.
fun? No, hello.
You're going to be 60 soon.
Because I know you're older than me. 2 or now. No,
I dropped you in there because you're trying to.
no, but seriously though, there are people right now in this 20 to 60.
Especially
People can party anywhere. Environment.
But you know,
100%.
going on to that, and I think Vic is very passionate about. Sorry, I'm gonna jump into it. Vic is very passionate about it, and we've talked about it many a times before. And it is. I think there's a thing that you said. I think you said the forgotten generation. I think that's that's how you said it. Because the one thing that a lot of people forget is that, you're young at heart. So as nature is doing what it's doing.
That's why I say that you're 60 already.
That brings me back.
It is. You're young at heart. So
They can't put you on the spot,
No, you're honestly.
I'm gonna answer him.
Right because now you've got that situation where.
But the comment is put into a legitimate comment.
If you remember, we talked about the off career. He's been able to.
There's a generation of people who are, who are like what you say. You're 40 plus, you're 50, 60, but people still want to party. People still want to have a good time. People still want to club.
But you need to mention. Abass has been able to, DJ Abass, you've been able to connect even with the 18s and the 20s.
I even want to respond to Taffy. You know the beauty of this generation we're in. The first community I ever went to where there were old and young people partying together was the Ghanaian community.
You're right.
They had a venue in just by St. Anne's Road, and it was called, was it Crown Club, or what was it called?
It was St. Anne's Road, not far from that hospital.
On Sanford Hill Road, just once come and
by that hospital, isn't it?
They had 2 floors. Oldies would be downstairs, and youngies would be upstairs.
Why is
Then,
it your turn?
I'm talking 2000, 2001, back then. In the Nigerian community, young people and old people don't party. But as we have seen life evolved, go to any venue right now, you see that mix of audience. Part of what has united them is the music. Because the music now has connected everybody. The question now is the venue adequate?
To connect everybody.
So you come to a place like this right now, the young people have sections where they can do their thing. The mature audience have a section where they can do their thing. In the same venue. It's all about the structure.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to have a good time.
You're right.
That is the long and short of it. Everybody wants to have a good time. And we are a diaspora community. Back home, it might be slightly different.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the diaspora right now,
No
like
old,
I said,
no young.
the mix is there as long as everybody has their own spaces.
Yeah, where they can feel safe
to do their thing. It's a unique. It's a unique.
Have a good time.
Strength we should capitalize on. When I remember when I went to the Davido concert with Ayo, which is where he decided he was going to do the documentary. We sat down there.
I was there, innit?
So you had the floor where everybody was standing, and then you had the seats.
Is that the first Davido?
The very first one.
Yeah.
Most of the young people were standing. Most of the old school were sitting, listening to the same music. A lot of people came with their children. They bought tickets. When you see all those big artists do their shows right now, a lot of them, the parents bought tickets, and their children are sitting with them. It's a fantastic narrative to have, right? It never used to be like that.
This might look like a gist, but
the
it's a strategy.
The diaspora
really
has delivered that. Once the environment is
It's
right,
right.
it's all about the environment. VBO is an environment.
Yeah.
And if you don't create the right dynamics to make it happen, it's not going to happen.
No, you're absolutely right, because I think one of the things that we pride ourselves here at VBO, and anybody who hasn't been here, if they can hear this, and one of the things that we pride ourselves at VBO is we are, we cater to everybody. I don't know, in the break you guys might not have captured this, but in the break I had like really, really young.
Yeah, you were having a conversation.
I was having a conversation. These guys
Young
are young. They're 19, 20. And, they're begging me for a night that they can, do.
What kind of night is that?
No, I mean,
they want a night
like
to
a
bring their
Thursday,
own crowd.
An off night.
An off night, not part of our, yes,
of
an
course,
off night. Yes.
So I'm even having to create something.
Try and make it work for them.
To make it work for them. But the idea.
So how do you do this? Do you research their background? Do you research the?
So one of
diligence.
the things we do here,
do you just say yes?
No. We're very
You have to do due diligence,
whether young or old, anybody that approaches to say, I've got this kind of event I want to do,
listen.
or we have to first of all take the social media handle. We have to dig into them to know their background, do a background check. Those followers, who are your followers? We check some behavior, things around you
crowd.
yes. And then we ask some question. There was an. I think if you remember vividly, there was an. Sometimes was it last year or the year before, just after COVID. Someone approached. We used to have an event here, being promoted by one of the guys on Thursday, and there was a group of boys that approached, and actually wanted to pay £6,000 to do an event. And we turned it down immediately. And I remember the guy that was promoting it sat down and looked at me and said, I respect you. It's not just about the money. The night, we're doing it to keep the night going on those Thursdays, but just under £6,000. Right there, he looked at me and said, I respect. Because it's a loyalty. I could have said, you know what, next week Thursday, you just step down. Yeah. Let's do this event. You understand?
But why though? Why did you turn it down?
Because it's not just about
the money.
The venue.
It's not the
okay,
money.
they didn't tick your boxes.
No, they didn't tick the boxes. There's a loyalty there. There's a loyalty that I've got this. I'm not just going to abandon
what your regular night that you have.
The regular night, because of so amount of money, I need to also pay that loyalty to people who have been
promoter on the Thursday.
So they promote on Thursdays. So I need to pay them that loyalty. So it comes back. I know we've never spoken about loyalty, but those are some of the things that unites the relationship. The same thing we're talking about our relationship with DJ Abass. So it's just sort of that loyalty, whether it's working,
was there no way they
it's
could
not working.
incorporate it into?
No, I just wanted to. We just wanted to just close.
Well,
that
because they didn't tick the boxes, not just because of the
tick some
loyalty.
boxes.
No, they did tick some boxes.
Some boxes.
But just to add to what Vic is saying is that one of the things that people don't realize about our backgrounds is that we're behavior specialists. So
That's key. Very key.
You assess people.
So
No. Their background.
So in the healthcare
industry.
So just saying this, and this is something that people.
Taffy, you're also in that industry too.
So people
I
would
think I know
He's
Victor.
the industry.
so people would not know this, but so Vic has got a master's in behavior. He's a behavior.
What do you mean
specialist.
behavior? Like
So
Femi, they're lost on this. These people, they're philosophers. They understand psychology, how the human
There's a
mind
science
works.
behind
Yeah,
it.
So
There's a science behind it.
That's the background. So when things are happening and things were, so even often enough, and I know a lot of times, customers themselves, security, even some people are even, making criticism to say, oh, listen, guy at the top, why are you getting involved in this? Oh, why you do that, whatever. But that involvement and that, whatever, it's important.
It's what keeps the venue solid.
Because sometimes, it's that background, So as we're saying, we're behavior specialists. Vic has got a master's in behavior specialist. He's a behavior specialist. I'm a behavior specialist. If Vic has got
I understand my own behavior. I'm a behavior specialist for my own behavior.
But the point that I'm making is in some of these decisions that you say is like, why would someone turn down £6,000 or for like whatever? Any other venue, any other person would sort of be like, oh, £6,000, I'll take it.
That's not the money.
However,
it's not the money.
But it's not the money. It is the brand, like what Abass is saying.
Always the brand.
So the reason why Abass will align with us and say, listen, I'm with VBO.
Because I know I'm protected.
Do whatever.
I'm protected.
Do whatever. Because he understands that. And the one thing that Vic has always done, and that is always thing, is that the principles and the ideas that he has and that he has always filters down. So even when you get down to the guy that you meet at the first door,
you're coming in,
as you're coming in,
it has the organizational culture,
the principle, the culture,
and the culture and the strategy is always different, but the culture remains the same. While the strategy changes from time to time, depends on the need.
So
you know what?
I remember
you have said everything.
I remember vividly when we opened, we were told that most venues are controlled by the securities out there. They do whatever,
and that's true to a degree as well.
Yes,
100%.
That's
true to a degree as well. Yeah,
they want to.
That's yeah.
But we change the culture here. The management must be involved in activity happening outside. When I'm in this country, I'm not in this country, I watch everything. So many times I've rang you from Qatar, from Dubai, from anywhere, from outside the country. And I say, Taffy, check outside, there's something happening. I'm not in this country, I'm thousands of miles away, but I'm checking,
this is
actually
passion.
saying,
thanks to technology.
And I'll say to you, that security is not standing where they should stand. I've just seen this activity happening. I've gone outside, I've checked the camera, I've seen people smoking here. I said, can you lock the door? So, I'm not here, time difference, but I'm still
your
active.
Spirit is here.
You understand? So, but then that just shows how we work. I will ring him, because wherever I am in the world, I keep my phone, I'll ring directly. I'll ring him to say, this is happening. And then we still, the same thing from outside. The security now knows they will liaise with the management,
So everybody in the business, from the security guy to the waiter, everybody needs to understand the culture and imbibe it.
It's culture driven.
It's culture driven, and you just have that key principle of the organization.
Man. Yeah. So I have to call industry house. We can talk.
It's still industry conversation.
It's still industry conversation.
We're teaching people how to do their business.
Abass, my last question. Obviously we got the young ones. There's so much going on. The industry, the culture. We're Africans. We're not being born now. I'm not white. So I'm from Africa.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So, Abass, you've been there, your industry and everything, yeah? Please, what do you see in the next 5 years in this culture? Africans in diaspora. What is your take and what do you see right now?
I see growth, I see development.
Okay.
It's unquestionable. Because we've talked about how our young ones have aligned with the culture. and they've taken it upon themselves as well across the platform right now, from music, fashion, whatever. So I see growth, I see development. And as we grow, the sky is not the limit. The sky is the starting point. Is the starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me personally, I'm just hoping and wishing we can now start to build other elements of the ecosystem by the successes we have created. And I've talked about the foreign brands, your Prada, Gucci. We don't need to be talking about those people anymore. Trust me, they have zero.
Talk about VBO.
Oh no, I'm coming. They have zero. Those fashion brands have zero significance to our development and our growth. But let our artists start to make conscious. Let our artists start to make conscious efforts based on hopefully advice from their management about African brands. So, as we are succeeding in Afrobeats, let them be leveraging on Nollywood.
When we talk African brands, I need to bring one on board. African.
Yes.
Ankara, African Prince.
Yes.
Ankara Festival. We started this.
I'm gonna tell you.
Promoting the brand.
Hold on.
We're promoting that brand.
I'm gonna tell you.
Promoting the culture.
Hold on.
From day one.
I'm gonna tell you something about Ankara you will not like right now, but you can flip it after.
Yeah. Tell me.
Do you know Ankara is actually not African?
It's been worn by African. It's been worn by Nigerians.
But in terms of development, the question
it's been worn by Nigerians.
Where is the money? Ankara is Dutch. It's print.
It's Dutch, yes.
Yeah, it is.
It's Dutch.
We know that. But
hear me out.
Yeah.
And then they have the fake version from China. That's where the money is going.
Remember those days that our parents used to talk about Hollandaise?
Hollandaise.
My mom used Hollandaise.
My mom has a lot of original Hollandaise there.
And there's a direct that is original from Nigeria.
So part of why I dropped that, Femi, is like at some point, you will do some rebranding. Hold on, hear me out.
You have to start rebranding from Nigeria.
No, hear me out. No. You are a voice. You are a voice and you are here.
Yeah,
but Ankara actually is the name we gave it, but the actual product is not us. The original come from Dutch, the fake come from China. But let me finish, someone. No. So that is key. But it has become something we have adopted in Africa. And we can have our own brand. So his Ankara Festival, which is his annual event, this is an opportunity for him to get Africans to go to Nigeria, because there are people that actually make it in Nigeria, and invest in them, and let's start to take ownership of that narrative. Because for me, if you don't make money,
it doesn't make sense.
Or do we rebrand it?
No.
Hold on. It doesn't make sense.
If you don't make money, it don't make sense. If you want this culture to grow, financial is number one. Make no mistake about it. Financial is number one. So fashion is a very powerful. We do lace. One of our fashion is lace.
Okay.
No, lace. But lace is not Nigerian. Lace is Austrian and Dutch or Swiss. So let's start to look into ownership. Bring this back to this thing I'm talking about.
You know,
let me finish. I need to finish. We have 1 more minute. You talk. So my brother, and I hear you.
I hear what you say, man. Can I reply to that?
No. Let me finish and you rap. So let us take control. We have had all the acclaim for this genre right now. We've talked about clubs, other music. So where can we make money and this thing turn around us as a people and our economies?
Like I was even going to talk about Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Femi Shego Awolowo, they talk about buy Nigeria, wear Nigeria. So that's why I'm like, okay, even if you can start with the rebranding, saying
have they stopped wearing Ankara in Nigeria?
How can they stop? They can't stop. They don't stop. They're even trying to propose.
They wear Ankara.
No, they are trying to propose a policy that says,
how many Nigerians know that Ankara is not Nigerian?
They don't know that. That's I just learned that
that's
today.
The first thing. That's the first thing. So, but trust me, with what you
does it have to be Nigerian though?
Yes, it has to be Nigerian.
Because why we are
if you have to develop,
is this Nigeria?
Yeah, you have to buy Nigeria, wear Nigeria.
Abass, is this Nigeria?
No, it's not.
Exactly.
Can I answer you?
Can I answer you? We can still promote.
Can I answer you?
No.
Let me answer him.
Answer me. Yeah.
In my apparel collection as a human being, I have a mix of fashion.
Okay.
In my apparel collection.
Okay.
The problem I have is what we are thinking is ours is actually
not ours.
Not ours.
Thanks for the education.
Nobody ever said Ankara was made in Nigeria.
No,
Nobody ever said that.
Don't know, Femi.
What we say now is like people know Ankara was not made. Even Ankara is in Turkey.
People
don't know.
Ankara is in
Femi,
Turkey.
they don't know.
Yeah. So, but what we trying to say,
they don't know.
I just want
100%.
enlighten.
They don't know.
I just want enlighten on that.
But what I'm saying is,
and I can tell you,
Can I talk-
you are going to sell the Ankara that is produced in Nigeria.
No.
That's what you are selling for your show, Ankara Festival.
Ankara
And
is
we are
not
going to be
producing.
here.
Ankara is not producing.
Yes, it is. No, they did. They produce. They do. They produce Ankara in Nigeria. They produce Ankara in Nigeria. They actually do. But the main market for it and the original market for it,
It's Holland.
it's not like this. It's Holland.
So
That's why we have Hollandis.
Holland is wax. So we are learning on this.
No, that's the origin.
We are learning on this
Yes. Ankara Festival.
Yes.
Yeah. Ankara Festival.
What's the date?
2023.
Yeah, what's
Get
the date?
ready. Lockdown. Sold out. Tables. Everything. Yo, we started this 2008. We promote our culture. From day one, we've been doing this, man. Ankara Festival 2023. Get ready. Say no more.
We are all going to be there. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies.
Say no more.
but
It's made in China. It's made in Africa. It's made.
It doesn't
Just come
matter.
and party.
Yes, sir.
Come and bubble. Come and drink. Book your table. Come and celebrate your party. We don't care where Ankara is made from.
We do actually. We do.
No, I
But
don't
we'll
care.
come to Ankara Festival.
Let's party. Let's drink.
And we are
jolly,
coming.
jolly,
We are
man.
coming. We are coming.
No, but I think what I like what I like about what you're saying is that education. It's important.
Yeah, I like the
Because
education.
the education is important.
It's the key.
It's key.
We need to know.
And to everything, and ultimately, there are people who are making money from our culture.
Everybody.
Exactly.
Culture vultures.
Do you understand?
Culture vultures.
Yeah,
You know,
that's it.
so-
There's
so-
people that made that shit. Sorry, there's people that made that happen.
It's a podcast. You can say it. It's a podcast. You can say it.
Shit. There's people that made that happen. Why?
Àgbàlagbà
Why?
yẹn o,
We will
calm
turn it around. Queen.
So
Leave
I think where the point comes in is that at some point there has to be a realization.
Of course.
There has to be that realization to say there was a brand that was hot in the late 90s, early 2000s, and people kind of made fun about it and stuff, but it was an important brand, and it was FUBU.
Yes.
For us by
us.
Yes.
What, from America?
Yes.
Yeah, it was Russell Simmons.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
for
FUBU,
us by
yeah.
us,
Yeah.
and I always feel like often enough, we need to be pushing that. We need to be pushing that idea to say,
That's
They're
what
not
I'm
from
saying.
Fubu is not from Africa.
It doesn't matter. No.
It's not from Africa, man. It's a black business. It's a black
That's
business.
why I also said. That's why I also said.
So
in
there's
my
no
country,
black in Sweden.
there's
There's no
something
black
called-
in
No,
I understand
Turkey.
that.
That's
There's
why
no
I
black in.
Femi.
There's black man everywhere.
No,
Femi.
Fubu is a black business. It doesn't matter where you come from. As long as you're a black man, you're from Africa.
The African.
Don't forget that.
The Africans.
Fubu is a black business.
Ankara is 90% all over Nigeria.
So the reason why I mentioned that wasn't because I was trying to promote FUBU.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to do was, again, going back to that point where we're saying that we can do things for us. I've always said, like, listen, I think from my last census, there's 1 billion people in Africa.
No, it's more than that actually.
Yeah, so it might be
1.7
more. Okay.
currently.
Yeah. So even
No,
if
no,
we
no, the 50.
okay,
After
let's,
8 billion.
okay, let's work on 1 billion people.
It's too much. Let's start with 100 million.
Yeah.
Let's start from 1 billion. It's too much. 100 million.
So let's
Guys,
look
you
at.
have to round up.
Yeah,
you know.
I know. We'll
We're
round
running
up.
out of time.
We'll round
This
up.
is extra. I
But
didn't them.
let's look at it from numbers point of view.
Yeah.
So everything is numbers.
End of
The
story.
number
right?
game.
So it's a numbers game. So say for example there's 1 billion people in Africa. 1 billion. It basically now means that as an artist, right? So let's take one of the biggest artists in the
Whatever.
world who's black. So we're gonna take Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Jay-Z. So Jay-Z can produce an album that is exclusively to Africa,
End of.
and he
He
has
will
got
sell.
1 billion
Waiting for him.
people to sell to. So Jay-Z can even sell each album, say even if he does it at $1.
Home country and diaspora.
Taffy,
Home
why
country.
why did you not mention someone from South Africa?
No.
Jay-Z is black and
I'm
African.
just saying Jay-Z is black and African.
We have to start to
Africans,
look
yeah.
at these people as one of us, and we are all one of.
They are. So the point that I'm making is now you've got a flagship person,
Yes.
Jay-Z, Beyonce,
Pushing the narrative
whatever,
from that level.
pushing the narrative, who is going to say my album is only exclusive to Africa.
But it's going to be hard for him to do. We know why it's going to be hard for him to say that.
I think
Because he's a product.
And-
He's a product of the foreign
from
matrix.
the West, yeah.
And
It's going to be almost impossible to say that.
This is what I'm saying, numbers game. I've produced an album which is hot. You
Guys,
can
we're
only
running out
get
of
it
time, man.
if you're in Africa, and Africa has got 7 billion people. I'm selling my album for $1.
Let's continue this.
How many people in Africa do you
Abass,
think are going to be able?
I'm
We
going
need
to
to
link
have
this to
another
this
round
note.
of
It
the
starts
no,
from
Abass,
we have a part two.
No, seriously,
from
Abass
the
is
climb,
in
from the
the
regional
building.
We do have a
climb
part two,
to
yeah.
the countries, and
We
from the
need to
countries to the
continue.
states, and then states to states to like communities to families. So the sensitization has to go all the way down. That's what I have to say.
Abass, thanks for coming.
Abass.
The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
I've got
God
so
bless
many
you, man.
questions. We need to do.
No, we have to come
continue
back.
in the inner chat room. In the inner
Part
chat room.
two,
We'll
part
continue in the inner
two,
chat
part
room.
two,
And there's a
part
part
two.
2 coming up. Definitely, we'll
We
make it
have
happen.
to. We have to.
Shout out to
Because we
everybody.
didn't
Bless
get
up.
Part two,
to
part
touch
two.
on everything.
Next one.
You know, big up Taffy, man. I know you got loads of questions, but
Yeah.
we've done like, see, my producer is like,
Producer is not smiling.
what's going
Sky
on?
Lulu is not
What else
smiling.
you got? But thank you guys, man.
Absolute pleasure.
Industry House,
Yes, sir.
DJ Abass,
Queen of VBO.
Queen J, no.
Taffy, you know, Victor,
I don't know.
duck out.
Femi
Yeah.
keeps forgetting
No
my
respect.
name. I don't know.
Taffy just duck out.
Queen of VBO.
You know, but
Queen
we
J.
there, yeah.
Queen
You
J.
know, we're back again. Big shout out to the production
Awesome.
crew. Funky Birthdays.
And we'll run.
Big shout out to
And we're
Jules.
out.
Big shout out to everyone. DJ Abass,
Bless up.
thanks for coming.